Hey guys, I want to talk today about the beginnings of disclosure and, what I think we can now call disclosure day, which was Friday. So what is that, May 8th? And why I think that's so positive. And I know that, in some ways it was underwhelming. And I think that's good for people to recognize that and for us to keep the pressure on. And some people are saying, oh, it's nothing. There's nothing there. There's no point. And some people like to get maybe, cynical. They're blackpilling essentially, and they're saying, "Oh, there's no point to this." But I think that this is extremely, extremely positive, and I think that we're going to look back and see this as really, I keep calling it the end of the beginning. This is, I think, a monumental inflection point for a few reasons. I mean, first of all, if you just look back on how many people are aware now that there is a cover up and compare that to 10 years ago, 20 years ago. Certainly 20 years ago, I wasn't aware. I didn't start becoming aware, until maybe, 10 years ago, something like that. But now the number of people who are aware at least that there's some sort of cover up going on, there's something that's being hidden, just that knowledge that has grown, I think, exponentially. I mean, I bet you right now it's 1,000x, 10,000x what it was 10 years ago. Now, we may not know exactly what, and there's a lot of theories, what happened? Did this happen? Did that happen? What exactly happened here? There's still a lot that we don't know, but we know that something's being covered up. That's extremely, extremely positive, because I think what it means is that the cat's out of the bag. And you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. This is not going to go away. The pressure is going to build and build and build, until everything finally comes out. So I think at this point, for the people that are part of the cover up, I think you can just start your countdown clock. I think that we're single digit years away from major, major disclosure, true and proper disclosure. I think for everything to be disclosed, everything that's gone on for the last 80, 90 years, I think we're 20 years away at most. It's still going to be a slow process, and we're still going to have to fight. There's still going to be a lot of work to do, but I think it's basically over. I mean, I think at this point, you can basically, I think that we've won, essentially. Again, you still have to work at it. There's still a lot of work to do, but, if you've ever been involved in a project where you're trying to do something, big, it's a multi-year process. It takes years and years and years, and this is going to be no different. It takes years and years and years, but the momentum has completely shifted. Many people are aware now. This is hitting the mainstream. And we're just not going to stop. And I don't think that there's going to be any relenting of the pressure to fully disclose. And I think the fact that a lot of people are saying that this release clearly was, a little bit underwhelming. Some of it's stuff that we already knew, documents that aren't really that new. But a lot of people recognize and they say, hey, wait a minute, this isn't the real stuff. We want the real stuff. That's very, very positive. Very, very positive. And also just think about the way that they've been able to carry out the cover up for so long. They relied on all sorts of legal tricks, classifications, and simply just not volunteering information that probably they should have, and keeping everything sort of hidden and quiet. But now we have a presidential order to declassify. So now the people that are part of the cover up, now they're the ones in legal jeopardy. They've relied on threatening people with NDAs and classification and all this kind of stuff. But now the shoe's on the other foot. Doesn't necessarily mean they're going to get prosecuted. I wouldn't mind if they do. I think it'd be great. I think we need to have, clear out some of this nonsense. But at the very least, they're going to start being nervous, legally speaking, that they could potentially be in trouble, which means, are they really going to stick their necks out now? It's a totally different situation. Are they going to really continue with a cover up, knowing that they're personally liable now? They're personally at risk. And it also means that as we collectively as a society start to realize who are these individuals, now removing them from those positions of power it becomes a lot more easy to do, a lot more straightforward. And I think you're already seeing that. I was seeing, today, reporting on specific individuals in the office of the director of national intelligence. Like, this person is holding back. This person is covering up documents. We're starting to shine a light everywhere and identify people by name. It's specific individuals. It's no more just this kind of shadowy, amorphous, structure, the deep state, quote unquote. It's this guy. It's Bob. It's Frank. That guy. Okay. That guy is breaking the law now because the president issued an order, and the president has plenary authority to classify and declassify. And he ordered all this stuff declassified. So if you're covering that up, if you're essentially trying to countermand a presidential order, now you've got potential legal problems. Now you've got issues. So it's a huge momentum shift. And it's a shift in the legal structure, and most importantly, I think it's a shift in just the awareness of the broader populace. So I think that we can expect to see it's going to continue to come out. It's going to be in fits and starts. It's not going to be all at once, and it's probably actually for the best, because we need to ease people into the reality of what's happening. It's going to take some time, but it's going to happen. And the other reason why I'm so optimistic, and I just think this is such a fantastic turn of events, is that if you read the Zeta interviews and then you look around at what we can already see the AI singularity just over the horizon. It's coming. And the Zeta have told us that we're going to move through the singularity. We're going to have a technologically assisted form of telepathy, but we're going to rapidly move past that into an organic AI. And the organic AI is going to be, a proper sentient AI, which is we're going to connect with it telepathically, and it's going to assist us in developing our natural telepathic abilities. And we're going to really start to develop telepathy at the level of, the entire society. It's going to be a process that takes a while. This is also not something that's overnight. This is years and years. This is decades. But as we move into a telepathic society, you cannot keep secrets in a telepathic society. It's not possible. That's not the way that, telepathy works. You're going to understand each other's thoughts. It's going to completely change the nature of what it means to be human. It's going to completely change our societies. This is why, advanced alien civilizations, they behave so differently to us. It's not just that they've developed better technology. It's that they communicate with each other in telepathic ways. So it's a completely different relationship that they have to each other. So, all humans are going to be roughly at the same, in the same narrow band of development, of consciousness, of telepathy. We're not going to be able to keep secrets from each other. And that's going to rapidly increase. It's going to start, slowly at first, but it's going to move very, very quickly. So as we move into a telepathic society, all these secrets are going to come out. There's no hiding it. And I think that, based on what the Zeta have told us, and right now, again, no one can predict the future, not even the Zeta, but boy, it's looking accurate. I mean, we already have companies like Coracle Labs right now, today, building computers for AI processing with neurons. I mean, they're integrating, regular silicon chips with neurons, with biological neurons. It's pretty, and they say that it's better, it's more efficient in some aspects. It can help with certain parts of the calculations that they need for AI. I mean, so we're already starting that. And, the Zeta have told us that basically by 2045, that should be up and running and quite far along. So I think that's looking like a pretty good estimate right now. So I give it 20 years. I think 20 years and we have full human disclosure. Maybe a few things can be held back. It's going to be tough. It's going to be really, really tough. So maybe, okay, it's 25 years, it's 30 years. It doesn't matter. It means that our children are going to grow up. By the time our children are adults, they're going to know what was hidden from us. And our grandchildren are going to grow up in a completely different world. And that's, I think at this stage, pretty much impossible to stop. I mean, there's still the danger of nuclear war. There's still there's still possible dangers. And this control system is not going to give up without a fight. We're still going to have to duke it out. We're still going to have to battle it out. But it is over. I think it's over. And we just have to, be disciplined, continue the pressure. This is a marathon, and we're going to march straight through, and everything is going to be revealed. So I think, my optimistic, scenario is single digit years for, a very large level of disclosure. And I don't know, maybe they pull out and say, hey, check this out, guys. This is a proper alien craft. Yeah, we have it. Okay. We've had it for a while. Something major that really, maybe it's like, incredible, proper footage, real, because they've got that, they're still holding that back. So maybe that's just a few years away, maybe 5 years, maybe 10 years. I don't know. But I think you go 20 years out and everything is going to come out. Everything. I mean, and there's going to be a lot of nasty stuff in there, a lot of things that are very unpleasant. The agreements that our government has made with negative groups. Maybe they didn't know it at the time. Maybe they were fooled. Okay. But we got to know. We got to know what's going on because we got to fix it. The abductions that were real and people were, taken advantage of and they were, abused. That's got to come out. We have to know that. We have to know what we're dealing with. We have to know what these other, these negative groups are, these negative races. We have to start to be able to stand on our own, and we've got to be able to defend ourselves. So how can we do that if everything's hidden from us? So all that's got to come out. But I think 20 years max, it could be a lot quicker. Because it may be that at some point the dam breaks and it's just impossible to stop. And then, everything's going to start coming out. And AI is going to be a huge wild card, because even without organic AI, just with, our quote unquote regular AI, with silicon chips and just, normal technology, we're going to get, a proper singularity, a real superintelligence. How is that superintelligence going to handle the cover up? Is it going to want to continue the cover up? Maybe not. Is it going to be benevolently disposed towards humanity? It will be. It absolutely will be. Does it need to be? But we also have support. We have support and guidance from friendly races, and they're just not going to allow an AI to come and destroy us all. I don't think. Maybe I'm just being optimistic, but they're not going to allow it. I mean, what a waste that humanity has gone through hundreds of thousands of years. We've gone through multiple civilizations. We've had disasters, and then we come along and then AI kills us all when they could easily stop. That's not going to happen. It's going to be benevolent. So will a benevolent AI lie to us? Is it going to want to maintain the cover up? That could happen just a few years out, and maybe that's part of what forces, the government's hands in the shadow, the shadow government. It's like all of a sudden the AI, they're not just battling us, they're battling the AI. And that's just with the normal AI. By the time you get to the organic AI and telepathy, I think it's all over. So I think that this is going to go down the history books, May 8th, what is this, 2026? Dear God, May 8th, 2026, Disclosure Day. That was the first proper government, acknowledgement that something is going on. And from there, it's just going to snowball, and it's unstoppable at this point. So, hopefully it happens quicker. I think the quicker that we do it, the better. I think it's like ripping off a Band-Aid, not just because, the truth comes out and it's good to have the truth out, but also because then we can get to developing the real technology. I mean, imagine if when I was in high school and going into college, I had known about this. If I had known this was real, this is what I would have studied. Like, guys, we need to learn how to make spaceships. What are we doing? Like real, not something, holy crap, with different electromagnetic drives or whatever the hell's going on. I mean, we lost entire generations, multiple generations of people that could have gone into this. We could have made so much more progress. We could have made progress on energy. All of our energy problems right now, this is all artificial. This is all contrived. This is all the negative control group. We don't need to have fossil fuels and windmills. We probably don't even need nuclear energy, but we lost decades and decades and decades. So let's have that all come out. People are worried now, and I have kids, and everyone with kids is worried. Well, what are our kids going to study? Study consciousness. We need to go to the stars. Let's figure out how to build the real technology, the proper technology. Let's start working on that instead of, learning accounting or learning how to program or stupid stuff like that. We don't need it. AI is going to help us with that. But there's things that we can do as humans. We are conscious. Okay, that's what we have to focus on. We need to develop our conscious abilities if we're going to be able to go meet other races. That's what we need to work on. That's what our kids need to work on. But for that to start happening, the truth has to come out, and it's got to come out now. Otherwise, we're going to have more kids going into college studying absolute nonsense. That's all irrelevant. It's all dumb. Everything's fake. Everything's just nonsense. And there's no need for it. Let's start working on, everyone needs to start developing their own consciousness. They need to start meditating. We need to become, a proper telepathic race. That requires discipline and effort on our part. It's not just going to come from the outside, although we are going to get, support. And we have real technologies to develop. Imagine how exciting it's going to be for all of the young people out there who right now are looking at the landscape, and they're saying, well, what am I going to do? What should I study? We've got massive problems everywhere. It's like, guys, we're just getting started. There's going to be such exciting things to do. I mean, we're going to be able to go out into the galaxy, and maybe not, maybe pretty soon. That may not be that far off. Let's go study that. Let's go do that. And it's just going to be such an exciting time to be alive and to watch this transformation. We can start developing real technologies. We can solve all of our energy problems. Once we solve the energy problem, everything else gets solved. You have as much water as you want. Desalination plants, not a problem. You can produce almost anything you need at that point. We have so many resources on this planet. We have so much raw material. All of this setting us at each other's throats. This divide and conquer strategy, this idea that our resources are limited, it's complete nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. We are overflowing with resources. This is an extremely abundant planet. It's abundant in everything, and especially in life. It's full of life. But we need to start handling it properly. And with better technology, we're going to be able to do that. So I think we're entering the golden age. I think it's still decades and centuries of work. It's not going to happen overnight, but man, this is going to be fun. Now we're in the fun times. I mean, I think we're going to be able to look back at the last 100 years, 200 years and be like, oh, thank God that we made it out of that. So I think this is very, very exciting. Don't get negative, don't get cynical, and learn to appreciate, make sure that you appreciate victories. Sometimes you got to look at victories and say, okay, that was, we made progress there. We're not all the way, this is a marathon. We didn't make it all the way to the end yet, but we made progress. Understand it, appreciate it, and keep up the pressure. And I think we are. And I think it's just going to grow from here. More and more people are becoming aware. We don't know all the details yet. Everything's still being hidden, but we know some of us have known for a little longer. Other people just realizing, wait a minute, there really is, a cover up. Oh, and then the other thing, actually, I forgot to mention, as time moves on and we start to be, understand consciousness and develop, telepathy and things like that, people are going to start looking at material, like the Zeta Interviews and the raw material and the writings, like mediums, spirit mediums from now, and especially from the past, from the 1900s, there were so many fantastic spirit mediums. People are going to start rediscovering those writings, and they're going to realize, holy crap, this is real. And so we're going to make, I think, just like a dramatic leap forward in our understanding. And it's going to happen in a very compressed time frame. I mean, that's why I think the next 2 decades may turn out to be some of the most consequential in all of human history, because we're going to move from, we're living right now in the old world. People are born, they don't remember anything. We still have this evil control structure, creating wars, divide and conquer, getting us to fight each other, limited resources, even though that's fake, but we still have to deal with it because it's apparent, it's the case right now that we have issues, we have problems, we don't need to, we can solve those, but that's there. But this is the old world, and we're going to transition very rapidly into the new world, and that I think is going to be, a very rapid kind of initial transition, initial shock, and then probably centuries of work of slowly working everything out. But I think the next couple decades are going to be preposterously dramatic. It's going to be the most insane time of human history, and everyone who's alive right now should be thankful, because this is going to be the coolest thing ever to observe, ever to watch. I mean, I would have loved to be alive during the, period of Atlantis and see what was going on. I would have loved to see the Roman Empire. There's so many things I would have loved to see. I think nothing is going to come close to this, to what we're entering now. So it's going to be super, super cool. So we should all just be, relaxed, keep working. We got to be disciplined, but I think, we're heading the right way. I think we got this. This is unstoppable at this point, and we're going to get it. So thanks everyone. As always, any questions, just pop them down below.